to be playing good. You want to be playing hard. You want to continue to try to get better each and every day. It's the season of teams are either looking to the end of the season with a happy face or a sad face. They don't want it to end, or they're ready for the season to be over. And I do think our team still enjoys playing, and they enjoy each other. And it's not always easy going through the SEC, especially what we've got down the stretch. But hopefully they'll continue to have a positive outlook, and we can continue to improve. Even in our losses, I think it's important for us to get something positive out of those games.
Questions? What's a positive you took out of the LSU game?
Yeah, our turnovers were less. I thought that was a big improvement from our previous game. I think conceptually we had a few things defensively that we wanted to see. That's hard to explain when you give up a lot of points like we did, but I think sometimes just philosophically, if you can get a few things done positively, and maybe you have some aha moments with your team, and so hopefully we can find some of those as well.
You mentioned some teams go out with a smile, some with a sad face. When you're in sad face moments with your players now, how do you encourage them? How do you make them see the bright side?
Yeah, I think the first thing that's really important is that you're just really honest with your team, and we've said it from day one. We were going to be honest with them throughout the season. How we're playing, who we're playing, what is the outlook, and we understand what we're up against. We understand the SEC, we understand the challenges that it presents. So I think first off, honest conversations with our players, I think that's important, but I also think, continuing to believe in our players, continuing to find ways that they can be good and find ways that they can be successful. I think that's really important. But then also just, for us, you start with good kids. If you start with good kids that genuinely love your program and genuinely want to be here and love the game, I think that really helps.
You had a lot of games early in the season against opponents like this, Texas, Kentucky, those types. But it seemed like you were more in the game, or you were able to keep it close, whereas LSU kind of had a different feel to it. What's the difference between playing a team like the top 10 team at the beginning of the season versus now?
Yeah, I don't know if it's in part of it, I don't know if it's 100% when you play them. A lot of basketball games, the result is a lot about matchups. So you can see Team A beat Team B, but can't beat Team C, but vice versa. You see a lot of that in both men's and women's basketball, and sometimes you're scratching your head going, wow, how did they win when they couldn't beat this team, but this team won, trying to figure out the puzzle. A lot of it has to do with matchups. And, there are going to be certain teams that just, when they step out on the court, it's not a good matchup, whoever they play. Or it's going to be a really challenging matchup. And then there's some other games that it just lends itself to a better game. I do think that's a little bit of the issue with, with an LSU and probably a South Carolina for us, very post-heavy dominant teams. They also have really good guards that can score, so they can be dominant in every area. But, I think sometimes the matchup dictates some of that, I guess, is my answer.
This is one of the toughest road trips in women's college basketball. How do you prepare your team for that?
Yeah, it's a very good analysis of it. Yeah, you definitely don't draw it up where you're back-to-back at LSU and at South Carolina. That's not... No one in our league wants that schedule, but we didn't get the choice. And so when you're dealt those cards, you just have to deal with it. And you have to understand what you're going into. So, for us, the preparing for it, we'll hopefully... when you go back to back, you can learn something and maybe utilize a couple of similarities in your game plan. You're challenging your team to be, to pull together in a really challenging environment. I think that's as big as anything right now. we're going to be so outsized. I mean, we were at LSU, we will be at South Carolina. So, we just have to try to find ways to be tough and scrappy. And then, hopefully be able to, spread them out a little bit on our offensive end.
About the size issue, what kind of impact has Jordana made in the 2 games back, and especially being able to utilize it, kind of a true center like that?
Well, when we have Jordana, she does give us a little bit of presence in there, both offensively and defensively, that we just won't have without her. We move Grace around quite a bit. Really, Grace's role doesn't change with or without her, except for the defensive end, and it puts a lot more stress defensively on Grace without Jordana. So we miss her when she's not out on the court, and I'm proud of her for really fighting to get back, and we're still, she's still a day-to-day as we continue to play through the end of the season. So we're already low numbers, we're already small. You just don't want to lose your biggest kid in these big games.
Where's the mind state of your team right now?
So we were off Monday after our LSU game. Our first practice back is today, here in a few minutes. I think they have a pretty good outlook. You could let it beat you up. You really could. And we've known this all season. You could let this schedule beat you up. And I think that there's a reason we are so intentional with everything that we do. And, as coaches, we really try to forecast and look big lens about, what is this season going to look like? Where are going to be the hurdles that this journey's going to take us over? And we know this is one of them. This is one of the biggest hurdles of our season, to be able to get through this period. And, I think our team has held it together as good as you could possibly do.
I know you've kind of touched on you can't instill that mindset that you want to come back and have to fight after every loss in your players. Is there anything that, as a coaching staff, you guys can do to really kind of keep them from dwelling on a loss like that?
Yeah, I think there are a lot of things you can try to do. We have competitive players; they want to win, so that's hard. It hurts them, and we allow them to hurt, and we're okay with that. I think we don't talk about moral victories with our team, because I think it could be a little offensive to a group of competitive players. But at the same time, we can talk about growth. We can talk about where we have improved and what we need to continue to do to improve on the court. So I think that is good, because it gives us some goals to really strive for. And then, like I said, I still think, I'll go back to it, I still think the honest conversations that we have with our players, I think, is really important. They need to hear the truth. And so I think they can navigate that landscape because of it. And then, as coaches, listen, we will get creative. We will try to find ways to celebrate the positives. We will try to find new ways to celebrate each of our players, and I think our staff's done a pretty good job of really, finding ways to just promote this program and this team.
Any other questions?
Awesome, guys.
Appreciate it, Coach.
Thank you.